So in this video, we'll take a look at whether it's possible to beat the game without your inventory, which basically means that we can't pick up a single item. I've analyzed whether you can do the game without killing, without a crafting table, but it's safe to say those restrictions are nothing compared to this one. Now, let's take a look at what it exactly means to have no inventory and how it affects the gameplay. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe with the bell and all that stuff. As a first step, we need to decide how to actually go with this challenge. You could try to complete the game without picking up a single item and prevent using the inventory that way, but honestly, that sounds a bit ridiculous to manage. There might actually be mods around that will block your inventory, but I'd say even in vanilla it's not too hard to make it so you can't pick up anything. Simply fill your inventory with an item that you can't place, can't consume, nor can you craft with. For example, iron nuggets. Then you are basically set for the challenge. But considering the difficulty of the run, this detail really is up to you. Now, I could go into detail and tell the issues the challenge creates in every situation to make the video longer than it should be, but it's probably best if I don't dance around the bush. In case you are new to Minecraft or unfamiliar with how to beat the game, you essentially need to kill the Ender Dragon. This guy right here. The Ender Dragon can be found in the End Dimension, which you can only enter if you find a stronghold in the Overworld, and in the stronghold you complete the portal with Ender Eyes. This is all you need to know, because the challenge already creates a problem that makes the knowledge about how to obtain said item irrelevant. Even if you would know how to get a hold of the eyes, you couldn't actually pick it up, which begs the question, how would we be able to complete the portal without any items? Well, lucky for us, each portal frame has a 10% chance of getting generated with an eye inside it, which means that it's possible that the portal we find will have all 12 Ender Eyes placed in already, making the portal active upon generation. Now, the actual chance for this to happen is 1 in 1 trillion. So it's not that likely that you randomly spawn into a world that has an already active portal, since one world only has 128 end portals. Also, we have another problem. Even if you would successfully spawn into a world with an already finished portal, you would actually need to find where it's located. Normally you would use Eyes of Ender to find them, but sadly that's not an option in our case. Generally, strongholds can only generate within rings, with each ring having a certain radius from the spawn. That fact, in theory, makes them at least somewhat predictable, especially since each ring has multiple strongholds, and they are also roughly equally angled from the center point. So we are at least not completely clueless as to where they are, but every ring is around 1200 blocks wide, and we don't have any tools either. So, even though there is a chance to get into a stronghold and find a completely filled portal within, it's practically impossible. Or at least if we go with random seeds. If we are able to choose our seed, we can pick one where we are sure to find a fully complete portal, and we'd also be able to tell where it is. One could think that using said seed is cheating, but realistically all we are doing here is saving time by getting rid of the RNG factor. That being said, with our current situation, can we succeed? Once we know where the portal is, getting there shouldn't cause any issues as long as we simply walk during the day and stay at a safe spot during the night, or even sleep through it if we come across a village. Mining down to the stronghold with bare hands sure will take some time, but it's doable. So, we finally arrived in the end. What to do now? In order to be able to kill the dragon, usually you need to destroy the 10 end crystals at the top of the obsidian pillar. The only situation where you can afford to skip this step is if you are using a damage source that can kill the dragon in a matter of seconds, bats for example, but we only have our fists available to us, which only deals a single damage per hit. The dragon has 200 health, so that's a lot of punching required. But let's get back to the crystals first. The first problem we have is that we can't destroy the crystals without taking damage, but luckily if we do it from a somewhat safe distance and behind cover, it will only deal minimal damage to us. The actual issue is getting up to the tower though. Since we have no blocks to tower up with, our only option is to mine our way up through the obsidian. Mining a single one takes roughly 4.5 minutes though, and we have around 100 of them to mine out per tower. So we need to spend at least 6 hours of mining on every single tower. No matter how I look at it, that doesn't seem like a pleasant experience. Sure, a 60-hour Ender Dragon fight would make up for an interesting title, but I'm not sure that anyone has that amount of time to waste on something like this. And the problem doesn't actually stop here. Even if we decide to go for it, there is a good chance we'll die in the process. The dragon occasionally flies through the obsidian pillars, and considering the fact that, on average, we need to spend roughly 50 minutes in one place before we can progress one block higher, it's quite likely that we'll get hit at least once by the dragon. But let's be hypothetical, and say that you manage to destroy all the crystals without getting hit once. There is another issue that you will face eventually, which is running out of hunger. The main reason for this is that you need to hit the dragon 200 times in order to kill it, which is exactly the amount of hits that's needed to use up your entire hunger bar. Pair this up with the fact that you will also need to use up some hunger for mining, and potentially for healing, which makes it pretty much impossible to get to killing the dragon before we start starving. On hard mode, this basically means death, while on easy and on normal, you at least stay alive on 5 and half a heart respectively, which will pretty much force the fight itself into a hitless battle. So we are once again back to the same situation that yes, theoretically, it's possible to beat the Ender Dragon without taking a single hit, but with the given conditions, it's practically impossible. So we will need to use the last trick under our sleeve, peaceful mode. This pretty much nullifies the threat of running out of hunger and well, also taking damage from the dragon directly. And yes, even though peaceful mode gets rid of every hostile mob, the Ender Dragon still appears in the end, and you still need to kill it the way I described it, but he won't be able to damage you anymore. It can still knock you back and damage you with his flame attack, so I can't exactly say that you're going to have a threatless fight here. But yeah, with that, I can say that it is indeed possible to beat the game without a single item, as long as you are playing on peaceful mode and on a seed that has a complete portal. It will take painfully long and quite boring, but it is indeed possible. But on any other difficulty, or on a random seed, I'd say that our chances of succeeding is pretty much zero. That begs one last question though. What is the minimum amount of inventory space that we would require to beat the game on a random seed? And on any non-peaceful difficulty? We basically only need our 2 hands. That means that one hotbar inventory slot and our offhand inventory slot. With that we are able to obtain Ender Eyes, with which we can find and activate a portal, and we can also bring weapons, tools, food and even chests into the end. The inventory management would be hellish, but hey, at least you won't have to spend days punching at obsidian. But let me know what you think. Is the solution I found really an acceptable one, or should we just say that it's impossible to complete the game without an inventory? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next video.